I've always liked Nesdio from afar, even before she came on my channel the very first time, guys. She has been very dear to my heart. But that has changed.
Hey.
Yeah, the love I had for her, it has reduced from 90% to 18.5, honestly.
18.
Yes.
Even worse than UK tax.
Stop that. The way I've
like
begged Nesdio to come on my channel ever since she went to Australia, excuses upon excuses. That's number one. Number two, Nesdio went to somebody's comment section, somebody who had done a video saying I'm a liar, and went to support this person.
And I was just joking.
You went behind, as a friend, you went behind my back to go support this person. Guys, I'll screenshot the comments and
hey, Daniel, you had that. Hey.
And
you know I'm joking. You know,
and that's all because she moved to Australia. It's all good.
And it's not true. You know, it's not
good.
How
is
you?
Australia?
Good.
Okay, so for those who don't know Nesdio, she's been on the channel before. She used to be in the UK, you know. She's originally from Nigeria, but then she did her nursing school in the Philippines, and then she's been working here as a nurse in the UK for a while. And she just recently moved to Australia, and she's been in Australia for how many months now?
More than 2 months now.
Over 2 months now. Today we're just going to just do a quick comparison to see if it's really worth it. I know that the two main countries that nurses are moving from UK to are Australia and then the US. So, but
and Canada as well. 3.
Not that much, like the way people are moving to Australia and the US. I think the two main will be, if Canada is part, it will be probably number 3. Okay. So my question is that, like, are you happier in Australia than you were in the UK?
Honestly speaking, I am.
What's the major difference like?
I feel like one major difference is just the weather. It is very hot here. Look at you're inside house, you're wearing jumper. The weather just plays a major role in your mental health. Let's not lie. When it's summer, everybody's happy, right, in the UK.
Yeah.
But here, like most of the times, it's very hot. Sometimes too hot even. Yeah. So I think the weather is one major difference I've noticed that is just making me happy.
So would you say the weather is as hot as Nigeria or even hotter?
As in for now, because we are in spring, it's like Nigeria. But when it's summer, like December, from next month, people say it's like hotter than Nigeria even.
Your summer is in December, or you mean winter?
Yeah, we are opposite. So when it's winter there, it's summer here.
In terms of the working conditions, like what's the major difference?
So in the UK, I was working as an anesthetic nurse, and now in Australia, I'm still working as an anesthetic nurse.
Okay. And what's the major difference?
So the major difference is the shift pattern. For UK, most of the times we work 12-hour shifts. And here, it's very, very rare to see people work 12-hour shifts. Yeah, it's majorly 8-hour shifts, and you only see 12-hour shifts when you work in ICU or ED, emergency room. But in the ward, aged care, like care home, every other places, they work 8 hours. Very, very rare. And your the night is like 9 hours, 30 minutes, because we start our night shift around 9:30 and finish by 7. So yeah, that's one of the major differences I've noticed, the shift patterns.
So what's your contracted hours? How many hours are you supposed to work in a week?
So full-time is 38.
Full-time, for those who are doing full-time, how many shifts a week do they have to do, because it's 8 hours to make up?
So if it's 8 hours, they have to work 5 days.
I see. Wow. I know you can't go into details now with the salary, but then being honest with yourself, which pays more, UK or Australia, based on, you know, your experience?
Australia does pay.
Are you sure? Because the Australian dollar is even lower than the American dollar, and the American dollar is lower than the pound. So it's like,
so you see, when you try to compare these currencies, I want you to put your mind in, the pound is higher than the US dollar, right? But people always feel like the UK will pay more because the pound is higher, right? Do you understand what I'm trying to explain? Yeah. So people feel that UK pound is higher than US dollar.
Yeah.
So people will always feel like because the pound is higher, UK nurses will be paid more, right?
Okay, yeah.
So that's the same scenario.
As in like the value.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's the same thing you're trying to paint now between Australia and UK. Do you now understand what I mean?
Let me make it simple for you. For somebody who's working full-time in the NHS in the UK, right? For somebody who, I don't know the city that you are in Australia, but let's say not an expensive place like London. Let's not compare London. Let's compare any other normal place in England, and let's compare any other place in Sydney. For somebody working the normal 38, after you pay your bills in the UK, who would have more? And don't say this because you are in Australia.
Honestly,
Maybe.
If God is my witness, and I promise you, nurses in Australia will also comment on that here, and if people that have moved as well will comment, they will tell you the difference. Like, it can be double, and this is you working on social hours. You're not doing nights. You're not, like, currently I don't do nights and I don't do weekends. I only work Monday to Friday, and I do morning shift only, and still my pay is like double of what I was earning in the UK, working nights, weekends, and all that. So just imagine when I start doing nights, doing weekends, or this is just staff nurse salary. I'm not doing agency or anything. So yeah, definitely it's more.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I told you I've heard that before, right? There was a lady who joined our care home just before COVID, so let's say about 3 years ago, and she had just moved from Australia, and she also said the same thing. She was an Irish lady. She was from Ireland itself, and then she said that, oh yeah, Australia pays way more. So
And
like I heard it before, but I just
And
needed
even when you convert it, I don't like converting because I'm not spending in pounds right now. Okay.
Yeah.
But if ever I have to convert it, it is still more than what you earn in the UK.
Okay.
But the truth is, I don't spend in pounds, so I don't see any reason why I have to be converting my salary to pounds. It's just like somebody converting pounds to CD, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm so rich," but you're rich in Ghana only. What would that money do to you in the UK? So me, I don't really focus on, oh, if I convert this to dollar and pounds, it's lesser. I'm not spending in pounds, I'm spending in Australia. So what I want people that are watching to just figure out is, what is the value of that money in Australia? Okay, so say for example now the minimum wage here is like 23 Australian dollar per hour, and then you are earning like $90 per hour. You can tell the difference. You know how much you live on, and so the difference is a lot.
What about the nurse to patient ratio in Australia compared to the UK? What would you say?
Okay, so for me, because I work in anesthetics, I only look after one patient at a time, and it's the same in the UK. But if you work in the ward, okay, like general ward, medical ward in NHS, you take 1 to 8 patients. In my hospital, some hospitals they take up to 12, and here the maximum you can get is 1 to 6 patients. But there are some states like Victoria State, they have a safety ratio. A nurse cannot look after more than 4 patients at a time. In Victoria. But where I am, New South Wales, there's no law like that, but the maximum you can have is 6. So yeah, but the only difference I will have to tell people so they will know is, in the wards, you don't really see healthcare assistants like that compared to how it is in the UK. In the UK, I do agency shifts. I've never gone to any hospital and there's no healthcare assistant to help me. But here, it is very rare. There are just a few states that have healthcare assistants. But yeah, that's just how it is here.
Okay, I think it's very good that you mentioned that. Guys, you guys know me that I would have asked Nesdio to give us details in terms of figures for her salary. But obviously, before the interview, she made me know that's illegal or it's...
Yeah, it's very, very confidential.
So guys, yeah, but she's explained it well that it's way more. So, yeah. And then, you just mentioned experience. Did they consider your experience in the UK?
So they even considered my experience in Nigeria.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, they did consider all my years of experience from when I graduated.
So in the UK, when you are starting, start at band 5 if you are an internationally trained nurse. In Australia, what's the skill like for nurses? Like
a new grad will start at RN 1.
Okay.
Because here we have RN and we have EN, which is like enrolled nurse. So enrolled nurse is a little bit lesser than RN. So they start at RN 1. But you don't start at RN 1 just because you are coming in new. You start at whatever level you are back in your...
What will be the highest?
Every state has their own pay differences, grading and all. So we have RN 1 to 8, and then after that you now move on to clinical specialist nurse or nurse educator. But like on the floor, like the way we have our band 5, that is just band 5, we have from RN 1 to RN 8. But if you anything above 8, you need to be a clinical specialist nurse or a clinical nurse consultant, nurse practitioner, and all that.
Are there any specific challenges you say? I know you said all the very nice things, but would you say there are any challenges as well?
I think one major challenge I face is lack of information. I don't think there's a lot of information regarding Australia, the whole process, things to do when you arrive and all that. So I think that's one major challenge I actually faced when I came here. But other than that, most like the practice in the UK is similar here, so I didn't really find it difficult to integrate. People are nice, they are always willing to learn. Like a nurse only stopped shadowing me last week So I've been bodied up with a nurse for more than a month. So it's really good. So they don't just put you and let you go into the unit and start working, because also it's a specialist area. Basically, those are the challenges I think I am actually facing here, but every other thing has been fine.
I know that you went with your permanent residence permit. Is this going to be available for every nurse from the UK who's moving, or it depends on the hospital you're going to work for?
So one, yeah, it depends on the hospital you're going to work for. Two, it depends on if you meet the criteria. So there are criteria you have to meet. So just because you're a registered nurse doesn't mean you meet the criteria 100%. You need to have like minimum of 3 years experience as a nurse before you can qualify for PRO. You need to write the English exam again. Yeah, even though I'm practicing in the UK, they had to make me write the exam again. And yeah, basically the most important thing is you need to have minimum of 3 years experience after graduation, and then your employer needs to be happy to sponsor you for the permanent residency visa. Some of the employers will be like, they want to sponsor you for temporary visa, then after 1 year they will now nominate you for permanent residency, but some don't mind, they will just nominate you from the beginning. So it just depends. And aside that, there are other visas you can get that are not tied to an employer. They have the states will nominate you. So we have states here in Australia, they will be the ones to nominate you for the visa, just like Canada Express Entry.
You mentioned the English exam. What was their requirement?
So I did the PT. I think the minimum is 65.
Okay.
That for IELTS would be 6.5, I think, or 7.
What's the tax system like over there?
So the tax is similar to UK, but the thing is, we have from 0 to 18,000 per year is 0% tax.
Okay.
And from 18,200 to about 45 is taxed at 19%.
Okay.
And from 45,000 to 120 is taxed at 32%. And from 120 to 180 is taxed at 40%. And anything above 180,000 per year is taxed at 45%. So it's just similar to the UK, but
I think it's slightly better than the UK.
Yeah,
because
it's slightly
the
better.
tax-free allowance is even up to 18,000. But
So for UK it's 12,000.
12,000, but you said so that's like
18,200.
Okay. Anyways.
And also, aside the tax being better in Australia, there's something called salary sacrificing, whereby you get money to pay for your rent, for your feeding, and for some basic thing like if you have a car to pay off and all that before you are taxed. So I'll give you an example. So for me, last paycheck, I got $900 before I was taxed.
Okay.
So that also increases your take-home pay. So just imagine you pay for your rent, you pay for your car, you pay for your feeding and some other things before you are being taxed from your salary. You find out that you pay less.
Oh.
That's another thing and yeah, this is something they do every paycheck. It's not like once or this is compulsory. So it depends on how much.
Or everybody.
It's not just for nurses. It's not every company that offers it. But nurses, most hospitals will do it for you. And then it depends on the company as well. Some people will get 9,000, some people will get 15,000. I think the highest I've actually seen is 15,000 tax-free every year.
Every year. Extra on top of what the government is giving you, the tax-free allowance.
Exactly. On top of that. Of that, yes.
Interesting. Oh, now okay. I'm learning a lot about Australia.
And another thing. So here they pay you for laundry of your uniform. I don't think they do that in the UK. Do they do that?
I know you can
claim.
Yeah,
but this one, your employer is paying you.
Okay.
Like laundry, uniform. Like me, because I work in theater, they pay me X-ray allowance because we are exposed to radiation. All those things. They're not a lot of money. It's not like it's big money, but when you add it does make a difference in your pay as well.
And especially since you're working in the same type of environment that you're not receiving
every time. Yeah, there's something called education allowance. Okay. So because I did my postgrad course in the UK, okay, they will pay you every week for having a certificate like that. And if you have a master's, they pay you more every week. That is not even like, it's not like you are in a higher role. You might be in any role. As long as you have a master's degree, they have an additional allowance for having a master's degree every week. So it does make a difference. Like I checked with master's holders will earn anything like $80 every week for just having a master's degree. And this is not like you are in a senior role though. That one is, if you are in a senior role, that is addition. But for just having a master's, you get like $80 every week. So it does really make a difference. It might not be so much, but it makes a difference in your pay.
Wow. Did you know all this before you left, or you just
Yes.
you knew?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So what about the lifestyle over here and then compared to there, and then job opportunities for spouses who are not in the health sector? What would you say?
For lifestyle, it's a bit laid back here. Okay, so and it depends on where you're coming from the UK. You are in Northern Ireland, you might not relate to but somebody coming from London and maybe you just come to Australia, you might find it a bit slow, laid back. People are just calm. They are not even like I'm in Sydney, I'm in the city, I still feel like it's so laid back here. So just imagine if you go and live in the countryside here, it's very laid back for the lifestyle. People are chilled, and for job opportunities, Australia has so many opportunities. I barely see people say they don't have job, or they'll tell you I'm being forced to work in care home because I can't get my own job. No, that's not. I mean, I've never seen anyone complain like that. I mean, it's not like it's going to be easy once you come, you just get a job. No, they have their own process, but the employment rate is very high and unemployment rate is very low as compared to UK as well.
Interesting. So for somebody who's like a nurse in Nigeria or Ghana who wants to go to Australia, is the process a bit more difficult?
Yes, it's more difficult.
It's more. Do you have a video on that on your channel? Because I don't
Yes,
know that.
I have a video on that on my channel. But if you're coming from Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, you have to write 3 exams before you can practice here. So yeah, you have to do the IELTS or any of the English exam. They accept OET, PT, IELTS. You have to do NCLEX, RON, and you have to do OSCE. So you have to do the 3 of them.
But it's possible. People do it, right? It's possible.
People do it, but it's now because there's no NCLEX center in Nigeria now. You have to travel to UK or Brazil or Africa to write it. So it's a bit stressful and more expensive. So most people first go to UK before coming here.
Okay, so Nazio says she has a video on that. I'll leave a link to that video in the description so that you can watch it. For those who are watching us from Africa or Asia and then also want to embark on the same process, Australia is not only for nurses in the UK. You can also do that. So lastly, do you have any tips for people who are on the journey of relocating to Australia? Any tips? And then your final words.
Tips, I would say just make sure you're moving to Australia for the right reasons.
Where the right reason is what? If my right reason is money.
If your right reason is money, just go to the rural area. Because the rural area, what I'm even saying, me, I'm in the city. So if you go to the rural area, you even get more than what I'm getting. Okay. So if your aim is just money, you don't care about any other thing, you might like the rural area more because they pay really well for living there. And right reasons, because I always say that most people, they are scared of coming to Australia because they hear a lot of false things like there's so much snakes in our house, there's this, there's that. So if you come here with all those mindsets and you probably just see one snake or something, you might start being scared. Okay, just like that. That's why I say come with like me. I mean, I've not seen any snake. If I have to see a snake today, that wouldn't make me hate Australia. Okay, because I have my reasons for coming here.
I mean, there are snakes in Nigeria, Anthony.
Exactly. So some people just move with the crowd because everybody's going to Australia. They want to come, and when they come and just one slight inconvenience, they'll start complaining. Is this the Australia people told us about? Just because I'm smiling or being happy doesn't mean there are things that I don't like prefer more in the UK than
like
here.
What? Tell us some of those things.
Okay, let me give you an example. One thing I found a little bit different from UK is the fact that the sick pay is not as good as UK. First of all, like yeah, before if you even go sick, if you go off sick, the first 3 months of you being employed, you will not be paid sick pay from your employer. But like me, I'm a permanent resident. If I go off sick, government will pay me because I'm government child. But my employer will not pay me. And when you are above 3 months, you get 10 days paid sick leave only per year. But in the UK, now you can't.
Well, it's only those who work in the NHS that can.
But in the NHS,
for those of us who have always been in private, it's
but in the NHS you can actually, I mean, it's not like you can call in sick and then you are not sick, but if you're actually sick, you can even be off sick for a year, fully paid. So that's one benefit I like about NHS. But here, like this, we only allow 10 days paid sick off in a year. But the good thing is, if you don't take that sick leave this year, you carry it over to next. You carry it over to next year, so you keep carrying it over till you use it. So it's not like after this year it's gone. so you keep carrying it over, which for me is not too bad. But
Not bad.
it's not too bad because number one, you are paid very well, so you should be saving for rainy days as well. But I just like that security the UK gives for that. I mean, nobody's praying to be sick, but just imagine you have these chronic illnesses that you have to be off sick every time. You would feel it. So yeah, that's one major difference I've noticed that I didn't really like.
What about maternity leave? How many days do you get in Australia?
Maternity leave, you'll be paid like 6 months, fully paid, and then it just reduces. But you can get up to 1 year paid maternity leave, and then because I'm a PR holder, the government can give you up to 1 year again, but then they only pay you minimum wage, so you can have up to 2 years maternity leave. First 1 year it's your employer that will pay you. Anything you take up after that, the government will be the one to pay you.
That's good. So when do you get a passport?
Oh, that will be after 4 years.
Okay. But you're enjoying all the benefits, everything that a citizen enjoys, right?
Yes, the only thing I'm not allowed to do as a permanent resident holder is to vote. I'm not allowed to vote, and I don't know why. In the UK, even if you don't even have, you can vote. But me, I'm not a politician, so that one, it doesn't even affect me.
Yeah.
It's the least of my worries. But yeah, that's the major difference. I'm not allowed to vote, so that's just the only difference. But every other thing I'm entitled to, childcare benefits, every other thing I'm entitled to it.
One thing that makes UK better than the US is cost of healthcare. Is healthcare free in Australia?
Yes, but not like free. Just like NHS where you have to pay from your tax, right? So yeah,
Okay.
we have Medicare here, so it is free at the point of access or point of service, but you pay from your tax. But most people here, they still like get private because, and this is something I have to say. If you're coming into Australia and you're not coming as a PR holder, you will not qualify for Medicare. So that's one good thing the UK has over Australia. In the UK, even if you're a tier 2 visa holder, as long as you pay your IHS fee, you qualify for NHS fee, right? But here you don't qualify. The only people that qualify for the free healthcare is the PRO holders and the citizens. So that's one difference. So I always advise people, if you're a nurse, if you're in the UK, especially coming here, just calm down and search for an employer that will give you PR. There's no point coming here under temporary visa. Meanwhile, you would have even gotten it in the UK. So yeah, that's one major difference. So they always make them to get private insurance. So that's why I think that's another reason why Australia pays more than UK, because we have the private. It's like private is there and then the Medicare is there. So most people use the private and most people use the Medicare. So yeah, that's another good.
And is there racism?
Personally, I've not had any encounter. I don't think the racism here is like pronounced.
Just like UK, you'd say.
Yeah, they are very multicultural. Almost everybody you meet is also an immigrant. You understand?
Okay.
So if the only time I even felt bad was even from my own Nigerian brothers and sisters. But anyway, it's like, no, everybody you meet is someone that is, most of them are even British people. Most of the doctors I work with, they are British doctors. So it's very hard for them to be racist towards when they themselves, they are also immigrants.
I hear things are expensive, like rent, like buying a car. Like I hear they're expensive as well.
It's for me, if I want to compare UK and Australia, the rent here is a little bit better. It's cheaper than UK, because the quality of what we get, the value for me, everybody is different. For me, the value is more. But I would say that cars are more expensive here. I have noticed that one. Cars are more expensive. I don't know, maybe it's the cost of shipping it here, or I don't really know. But yes, for car is expensive. But for rent, I feel like rent is much better here. And for like groceries and all this thing, it depends. Okay, if you go to fresh market, we have fresh food market, it's cheaper. But if you go to we have Aldi here, I would say the things in Aldi here are more expensive than UK Aldi. Okay, but there are some bills we don't pay here. We don't we don't pay council tax. Council tax is for homeowners. Like if you own the house, that's when you pay council tax. But in the UK, if you rent, as long as you don't do a shared house, you have to pay council tax. And Wi-Fi bill is more expensive here. It's just like give and take. Most things here are cheaper. Most things in UK are better. I think my Wi-Fi bill was much better in UK than here. And yeah, just little things. But generally, I don't even feel like it's too much here. And I'm living in the most expensive city in Australia, so you can tell if I decide to move to a very cheap area, it will be a different thing.
Wow, I've learned a lot. Thank you very, very, very much.
I know I will never ever convince you to come to Australia. You are settled in UK.
You
already have
might
your-
never know.
But you already no. I feel like for you, you already have your PR, and before you know, you're applying for citizenship.
So,
What?
That's what
I've actually met people that have British passport leave, and these are not.
yeah.
And aside the fact that they are British citizens themselves, like they were born there, they are from there. I've also met immigrants that have lived in UK, gotten their passport, gotten everything, and they still left. And that's why I said people leave for different reasons. For me, I felt like if I had stayed in UK, got my PRO and got my passport, I would not have left, probably, because I'm like, I'm more settled there. I can decide to go full-time agency. Although, like, the truth is, the weather is another thing that made me move. Like, there's just a lot of things, but I feel like it would be more hard for me to leave when I get my British passport.
Yeah.
But then again, people leave for different reasons. So
You might never know. Maybe, who knows?
if you want to move, you go to the US. You're not coming. All your
Yeah.
family is in
If
US.
I'm moving, I would rather go to the US.
Yeah,
for me.
because your family
Yeah.
is there. So
Yeah.
definitely makes more sense to move there.
So now that you're in Australia, far away, would you still be traveling, going on vacation, left, right, center?
I mean, I have trips planned for next year. This year I've already exhausted my whole travel plans this year. I went to like 5 countries this year. So next year, I mean, to be honest, it might not be as much as I was doing in the UK because of the easy access to transportation, but I'll still travel down because the good thing here is they can give you annual leave at a stretch. Like, you can take as many weeks as you want for your annual leave, so which is something I like. So that won't be a problem. The distance is not a problem for me.
Wow, it was nice having you. And the lab has come back to 30%. The rest
Yeah, please, you know it's not easy to relocate and all that, so please
I know.
pardon me. And besides, I didn't want to come here with half-baked information. I wanted to be very sure and all before I come. So please forgive me.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Guys, I'll leave Nesdeal's details in the description.
Guys, please follow me. Please follow me.
On the screen. You love her. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.